Welcome, and thanks for listening to On Air with Adriel. Welcome to another installment of On Air with Adriel. It's great to have you with us. I have a couple of distinguished guests in the studio with us today. President and CEO of Adriel, Todd Haynes. Nice to see you again.
It's good to be here again. Thanks, Max.
And you brought along with you Jeff Sloat, who's the VP of Clinical Services. Hi, Jeff.
Hey, Max.
All right, so guys, we're going to talk about the Bridges program today. Todd, what is the Bridges program?
I think it's one of the most important things we do. Any child, even developing in a typical household, when they turn 18, they're not quite ready for the adult world. They have questions. They continue to call back to mom and dad to ask questions about signing leases, buying their first car, all of those kind of adult decisions that need to be made. And when you turn 18 in the foster care, the services that you're used to end up shutting off. And so you no longer have a consultant, you no longer have a county, you are independent. And the Bridges program was developed, and we were one of the first organizations into it in Ohio to work with 18 to 21 year old youth, or young adults, to give them some extra support. And I believe it's one of the most important. I wish it was 23, but it's 18 to 21. And Jeff Sloat is with us today. He is the Vice President of Clinical Services, but he also oversees our Bridges program. And so we're happy to be able to have his insight into the specifics about our Bridges. But as you said, it doesn't end at 18. Our work continues on, and Bridges is a way that we do that.
So, Jeff, tell us a little bit about Bridges. What can we know about this?
Okay, so Bridges is a joint effort between individual provider agencies like Adriel and then the Department of Children and Youth in the state of Ohio, as well as the Ohio Children's Alliance. And it's really designed to meet that need of that specific 18 to 21-year-old time frame. I like to think of that term, how the sausage is made. Like give me a brat with some mustard on it, and it's beautiful. But I really don't want to think about how that came to be in my hand, how that animal was processed and what's in it. Yeah. I just want to enjoy it, And so a lot of times people see things on either social media or on the news about foster care in general or foster parents. And those stories are like 1 in a million, but that's, if it bleeds, it leads. So that's the sort of thing that gets a lot of attention, and it's not really indicative of what's happening. But as someone who's on the inside of all of that, what is happening, and the thing that you could find in a simple Google search, is that the outcomes for emancipated foster youth are generally pretty poor. And so what emancipation is if you're a foster child, you're either reunified back with your primary family, you go home, or you're adopted with a foster family, and then you have a permanent home. Those are great outcomes. Outcome number 3 is emancipation, which is you spend from whenever you made entry into the foster care system, you spend a meandering childhood in and out of the system, and then at some point you turn 18, and county children's services boards they have funds to help children, and at 18 you're not a child anymore. So at a time when, as Todd mentioned, you're very much still in need of adult supervision and help and support, you lose all of it. You probably don't have a strong adult in your life because maybe it was your last foster parent was the closest thing that you had. And so now you're left to kind of struggle. And so that's really, again, how the sausage is made. That's the difficulty with the whole foster care system is what happens when you emancipate and now you're an adult and you're living in an adult world. But, to geek out clinically a little bit, our prefrontal cortex is the part of our brain that controls impulse control, that impacts decision making. That part of our brain is not fully developed until about 25. It takes even longer if you have experienced trauma in your life. So we're taking a traumatized person who's been through a lot and their brain's not fully developed and saying, hey, good luck.
Wow.
Hope that it goes well for you. And so that's something that we all struggle with in child welfare. And that's why I love Bridges so much, because Bridges says, nope, we're going to fix that. We're going to give you a case manager that we call a liaison. That person's going to stay with you. They're going to help you to access mental health support. They're going to help you to access housing. They're going to help you with independent living skills,
Wow.
accessing job training, giving you the motivation that you need to show up to that job, the kind of pep talks that you might normally need to give
Sure.
a typical teenager of let's go out of bed, let's get ready to go to work, those sorts of things, to provide that level of support so that critical time between 18 and 21 isn't just bereft of any sort of help.
And we all know those years 18 to 21 and beyond, but 18 to 21 for sure, you're making life decisions, big ones, that are going to have long-term impact. So having someone walk alongside you and counsel you and talk with you through these things, really critical, isn't it?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I can imagine. I have to believe you've seen some pretty remarkable stories, Jeff.
Yeah, definitely, without a doubt. One of them that I just love to think about is we had a young adult who fortunately had a vehicle. So she's got her driver's license, she's got a car. That car needed some work, some extensive work. And so the vehicle is in the shop, and the young adult is driving a rental vehicle also from the shop. And she starts complaining to her liaison, it's been in there for a long time. Like, it's been months. And so came to find out that, the liaison decided, I'm going to just go down there with you and let's have a conversation with the owner of this repair shop, who's also charging you by the day to lease you this vehicle. And it seems like they have a reason to be taking their time on this. Well, a conversation ensued, and wouldn't you know, we're just going to waive all those rental fees and your vehicle will be done very quickly here. And so just an example of where an 18-year-old doesn't know, and somebody that's got a little bit more seasoning on their life can be a stronger advocate and resolve problems quickly.
Wow, that's profound. And you use the word advocate. That part of what you do is really huge. And I want to ask you, you've obviously seen young adults 18 to 21. Some have probably resisted some of the help. Some have probably really welcomed it. But let's talk about down the road when they're 24, 25. Do you ever have any follow-up conversations with those folks about how valuable that was to them?
Those are the best. They wish they had started it sooner. It's a one-off, but we have one person that saved up so much of the resource that they were provided during that time that they were able to make a down payment on a home.
Wow.
So they hit 21, saved some more money, and then by their mid-20s, they have a modest home to live in, as opposed to a typical outcome, which is often homelessness, sometimes being trafficked, certainly being out in the community with mental health problems and just no support. So to have a story where someone said, you know what, I'm just going to, be frugal. I'm going to save up. I'm going to take advantage of the support that I have from my liaison. I'm going to lean on them when I have questions. And now as an adult to come back and say, hey, thank you. That really helped. And, I was able to make a good impact on my own life by participating in Bridges.
Max, you asked the question. Most 18-year-olds are ready to get out there and become an adult, and they think it's more automatic than what it really is. And so the neat part about Bridges, they can come and go. You can make a mistake, and you can recover from that mistake. You can think that you're independent, you can think that you're on your own, and now you're 19, it's not going as well as you had hoped, you can come into the Bridges program. So you can make a decision, you can recover from that decision, because I don't know of too many 18-year-olds that aren't ready to grab the world and take it on and be that adult, and sometimes it's just not that way.
Wow. And one of the other things I want to make sure we highlight here is there are a number of agencies who do the work that you're in, but I want to ask, is the Bridges program unique in that a lot of others are done at 18, but Adriel's not?
There are several agencies in Ohio that participate in the Bridges program, fewer today than when we first started,
okay.
But we hang on to it. This is not an area that our board or any of our leadership, our executive team, really wants to move away from. We believe this is important work. There are areas of our work that we do it because it's the right thing to do. We don't do it because it necessarily makes us money or, it's just simply the right thing to do. And this is one of those. Jeff mentioned in a previous broadcast that we offer support to our foster parents that are experiencing trouble. Well, that's something that is supported by our donors, and it's the right thing to do. And Bridges is a similar aspect. It is supported by the state, but it is the right thing to do to help these kids. As Jeff said, the brains aren't completely formed. They have had decisions made for them their entire life that they've been in foster care. As a foster parent myself and an adoptive parent, there was nothing that my son was ready to take on the world at 18 independently all by himself. And so Bridges is there for those kids that have emancipated and for those young adults that need that extra help. But we do it because it's the right thing to do. And honestly, there are fewer agencies today doing it than there were just a few years ago.
Wow. Jeff, a couple of minutes left. Anything else you'd like to share with us about the Bridges program?
Yeah, just that impulse control is a real thing. Todd mentioned they'll emancipate and be so glad to be out on their own and done with the child welfare system. And then it's like, well, it's difficult. It's challenging. And so the support of that liaison that can make sure somebody is aware of even the hey, I want to quit this job. I hate this job. It's minimum wage. Well, you know what? You still have rent to pay. So let's figure out a plan before you can still quit. But, the difference between an 18-year-old with impulse control issues and an adult is the adult is going to be a little bit more planful about their decisions.
Wow.
And so to help them be planful about all these different aspects in their life when there's so much to consider that they've never had to deal with before, it's just a vital program. And we're so glad that it's a part of the services that we offer. Another cool thing I do want to point out is in a previous episode, I talked about clinical services, and I focused on that we really support our families and foster children that are placed with us. This very week, I received a clinical referral for a Bridges young adult. And so our programs are not siloed. That's been a big point of emphasis for Todd with his leadership is we don't just have individual programs that are sitting in little offices and not participating. We all work strongly hand in hand. And so that's an example of how a liaison with Bridges needs access to mental health care. And we talked earlier about how long that can take. They know that that young adult will quickly get access to services within Adriel's own network. And so referred that young adult to us, and we have an assessment already scheduled with that young person. So now they'll have not only a liaison, but a therapist. Again, 2 adults now they can lean on for support.
Wow, tremendous. Our guest, Jeff Sloat, the VP of Clinical Services, and Todd Haynes, President and CEO of Adriel. Gentlemen, great to have you here today. I want to make sure folks get some information here. If they're interested in learning more about Adriel, getting involved, et cetera, what's the best way?
The best way is our website, www.adriel.org, www.adriel.org.
Okay. Todd, great to see you. Thank you for being here.
So good to be here. Thank you for the invitation.
Jeff, tremendous job. Great to have you here in the studio today.
Max, thank you. It was a pleasure.
You're listening to another installment of On Air with Adriel. We're available on a number of platforms, and we encourage you to stay up to date with what's happening with Adriel. And thank you for listening. Thank you for listening to On Air with Adriel. For more information, please go to our website, adriel.org. That's ADRIEL.org.